News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Chris Crock Show. In about 12 minutes, we're going to talk to a retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who was on the he was a national security advisor to President Trump. And we're going to be talking about Iran and this report that indeed they are supposedly going to be able to have a nuclear bomb within a week, signaling, quote, extreme danger for the Western world. A brand new report is mentioned in the Free Beacon. We hit on this yesterday, but today in the Wall Street Journal, they mention, I believe, the same report when columnist Dan Henninger says, according to one prominent analyst, Iran could make a bomb within days and a respectable nuclear arsenal within a few weeks or months. I mean, I don't doubt that. So not only is a report that is just out in the Free Beacon and from this Institute for Science and International Security, a watchdog group that monitors Tehran's atomic program, saying that Iran's nuclear weapons capabilities are more dangerous than they have ever been, while its relations with the West are at a low point. Now, I want to take that in throw at you this Dan Henninger column, and he refers to a movie that I remember seeing, and I loved it. I don't remember what happened overall. I just remember I loved the movie Master and Commander. Do you remember that movie? Master and Commander, the far side of the universe. The way Russell Crowe said it. Isn't that how he said it? Master and Commander, the far side of the universe. And then there's Mel Gibson back in the day. Give me back my son! Remember that one? All right. But he had a weather gauge. And a weather gauge would tell him the wind's direction. And whoever had a weather gauge could dictate the timing and the pace of the battle because they know the wind. They know which way the wind's blowing. And so, therefore, they control the battle because they know when their enemy will be pushed away and when they'll be pushed towards them, vice versa, etc., and when to avoid the enemy and when not to, when to go in an attack. And what Henninger says today in the journal is that Iran has the weather gauge. We do not. Iran will spark a crisis wherever and whenever it wants, and it can de-escalate at will. From Iraq to Lebanon to Gaza to the Red Sea to Iran and its proxies, they create an instant crisis anywhere, forcing us, the United States of America, to respond to their timetable. Over the weekend, Biden responded to Iranian attacks of force. Tehran was in control. Tehran was the one who attacked first, and Biden responded. Rather than thinking about how to deliver an unmistakable message that'll restore deterrence across the Middle East, they struggled to find a Goldilocks strategic strategy, a retaliation strategy. And the Goldilocks strategy that Joe Biden struggled to find was, I want to hit strong enough so centrists don't call us weak at home, which we all know he is. And in the meantime, weak enough that Iran won't escalate and return. Afraid. You're in control, Iran. We're afraid. And the U.S. cannot seize the political and military initiative from Team Tehran, he says. If we don't, then Iran will be playing the Middle East like a piano, and Biden will be dancing to Tehran's tune for the rest of his time in office. I do believe that's what's happening. I've been telling you that. I've been saying that for months on this show. In addition to that, I agree that it's not going to change. Joe Biden will not change. Now, there was a strike of the leader of Kateb al-Hezbollah in Iraq that was one of the planners of the attacks against us. But make no mistake, that's a joke. That guy should have been thwacked and killed 2, 3, 4 months ago. He never should have had the attack. All because Iran told him what to do. They did it, and then Joe Biden responded. Iran plays the tune. Joe Biden dances to their tune. He is a weak man. He is feckless. We know he can't even talk half the time anymore. Remember who Hamas is. But, and now we are diverting attention instead of just thwacking. And I was driving in thinking about how am I going to say this, and how am I going to say this to you? And I'm going to say, we should have smacked Iran so hard upside the head right away towards the beginning that none of this crap ever would have happened. And that's what Donald J. Trump would have done. He plays the tune, Iran dances. I'll say it again. Trump played the tune, Iran danced. Biden dances to Iran's tune. Iran has the weather gauge. And he kind of closes it. He talks about how Joe Biden alienated MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Now he humps his leg to get more oil as he shuts ours down. The Houthis were taken off the terror watch list. He claimed he put them back on, but he did not. It is not the same strength of being on the terror watch list that Donald Trump had him on and that terrorists should be on. It is a wussy version. And so it's really embarrassing, and Joe Biden has walked us backwards into war. My questions for you are, do you agree with this Wall Street Journal columnist that Iran is running the show in the Middle East while Joe Biden follows along? And do you agree with me on that, too? I've been saying that for months. Do you agree that Iran's running the show in the Middle East and Joe Biden is following along? And then do you think that's true, that Iran could bomb us in a week, or could have a bomb in a week, I should say, a nuclear bomb? And do you think Russia and China are behind Iran in all this as well, which I think it's unequivocal? It's unequivocally true. It's an axis of evil. They're all together. And do you think Biden has the cojones to attack Iran? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now at 800-288-9227. I don't think Joe Biden has the cojones to attack Iran. I don't think he will. I think he would respond to Iran. He'll never initiate anything. He's a man of fear. And Iran knows that, and it's an amazing time for Iran. I mean, this is the time to strike. This is the time to strike us, and we are weak because we are preoccupied with forces throughout the Middle East, all run by Iran. It's so much easier for me and probably you and all of us to understand how when we're told for the past 10 years or so, or whatever, 20 years, that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. It was a little hard for me to understand that, but I completely understand now, because they did the Hamas attack on our Jewish brothers and sisters in Israel. They do the Hezbollah attacks out of Lebanon, to the north of Israel. They do the attacks out of Syria at our bases, and if they want, from Syria into Israel. They do attacks on our bases in Iraq. They do attacks on us and the entire world transportation in the Red Sea and in the Bab el-Mandab Strait. They do all that. That is all their proxies. It is insane how much they own and run and supply. That is their number one export. That is their product, terrorism. And so I fully understand now. And Joe Biden is letting these guys, he has given them $6 billion plus in oil riches to kill Jews and to kill us and to kill our troops, which he did. They did. It's incredible. I cannot wait to talk to, coming up next, we're going to talk to Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, who served 2 tours in Iraq, one in Afghanistan, and won a Bronze Star Medal for the Battle of 73. And he was a member of President Trump's former National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, one of his former National Security Advisors. So all that, we'll talk to him about this coming up next as well. 800-288-WBAP, Chris Kroc Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who served us honorably for 21 years, 4 deployments into combat zones, Iraq, Afghanistan, was a U.S. advisor to the Second Republic of Korea, awarded Bronze Star Medal for valor in the Battle of 73 Easting in 1991 while serving under President Trump's former National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, and awarded a Bronze Star for medal service in Afghanistan in 2011. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis joining us now. We appreciate you very much. You're a senior fellow, of course, and military expert. We appreciate you joining us tonight on the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I love WBAP. I grew up with you guys. I used to live in Dallas and listen to the Ranger games on WBAP all the time.
Nice. Well, just so you know, now we're 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, sir.
Nice. I'll do it.
All right. Well, listen. Questions about Iran. Couple of things in particular. Did you catch this report? It was in the Free Beacon, and it is originating from a new report from the Institute for Science and International Security watchdog group that monitors Tehran's atomic program. Iran's nuclear weapons capabilities are more dangerous than they've ever been, and they're saying that they will have enough to build a nuclear bomb, enough enriched uranium to produce their first nuclear weapon within a week, and a total of 6 bombs within a month. How accurate do you think that is my first question.
Well, it's kind of at odds with the CIA's assessment, and I've actually looked at a couple of others. I did see that report, and you always got to take them with a grain of salt because it's not as though they have access to the North Korean internal workings in their nuclear department. So it's a lot of guesswork that's going on in intelligence. The CIA isn't a whole lot different. You may recall that in March of last year, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Milley, publicly said that they could reprocess enough fissile material to create a bomb within 2 weeks, which is pretty fast, and then it would take about 3 months to actually produce a crude warhead. So it's unclear who's right, who's wrong, but I'm not sure it really makes a whole lot of difference because there's not a lot of difference between the two views. One is it's pretty short that they could do it, and the only reason they can do it is because once we pulled out of the JPCOA, the nuclear deal in 2018, all the constraints that were on them have gone off, and they, over the years, have increased the amount and percentage of fissile material that they produce. And so now then they do have a lot that's not far from the weapons grade that they could, which is 90%. I think the last report I saw was that there was the IAEA recognized that there was some evidence of 89%, so literally just under the threshold. So in any case, they do have the capacity to make a bomb if they make the decision to have one.
Okay, now here's my question. How do we know when it's time to blow them up? Because I had Waleed Fares, I'm sure you know who he is, former advisor to President Trump and an expert on Middle East, Iran, terrorism, and everything in that realm. And he said that once Iran has a bomb, a nuclear bomb, it'll be a complete game changer. And at that point, they're gonna say, "You mess with us, we will attack you with our nuclear weapon, or we'll blow up Israel, wipe it off the face of the earth." So here's my question for you on that: is what are we going to do? What's going to happen if are we going to know? How are we going to know? And are we going to know that they're about to have the bomb ready? And what are we going to do? My question, my thought on that. That's my question. I want to follow up on that, but I have a thought that we'll pretend that we don't know what's going on, and Israel will attack, and we'll know they're attacking. We'll have their back. What are your thoughts on all that? Go ahead, sir.
Well, look, this is one of the things that worries me the most about all these many people that are saying because some of these Iran-backed groups in the Middle East killed some American troops, and we've been going after them and taking people out. We had another one this afternoon in Baghdad that was actually the guy in charge of their drone program that killed the troops. So we took that guy out. But there's so many people that are saying go after Iran. That's the head of the snake and all this kind of stuff, not realizing that is probably the last thing that will cause Iran to actually make the decision to rush to a bomb. So if you want them to have a bomb, go ahead and attack into Iran. What we need to do is to not give them any reason to rush to the bomb because they haven't done it. In all these years, even with this capacity, they still haven't done it. They have allowed the IAEA inspectors there who can validate that they don't have the weapons grade that they need, et cetera. But if we start bombing them, then we're going to give them they're not going to have any restraint at that point. And then they probably will because they have deeply, tunnels underneath the ground where they could probably absorb our bunker busters even. And we would literally have to go into virtually a full-scale war to even try to take that out. And I don't know that we could succeed. So I think the bottom line is we don't want to push them over that last threshold. Okay,
now that would make it seem that Biden's doing the right thing then, how he's doing this. But I would strongly disagree, not with you, but you're the expert, I'm not. But I would strongly disagree with how he's doing everything because there was a column, I don't know if you caught it today in the Wall Street Journal, Dan Henninger, talking about the movie Master and Commander and how they had a weather gauge, and that is determines the wind's direction. They would use the direction to be able to win, attack their enemy, or get away from their enemy if they weren't prepared. And they're basically saying that Iran has that weather gauge, and they control, and they're doing the causation, and we're reacting. They're in control. They're playing a tune that Biden is dancing to. I strongly agree with that. Do you agree with that as well?
Well, I'll tell you, I definitely don't agree that the Biden administration is handling this right. I think they're botching it left and right, and so far they haven't botched it horribly, and I hope that they don't. But where they fail it is that the only reason that we have vulnerability from these, Iran-backed groups in the area is because we have our troops just dotted around all over Syria and Iraq that have no value to our country. I've been arguing since 2019 when Trump first said we should get our troops out of Syria. He said he was going to, and he got thwarted by what some call the deep state or whatever, the bureaucracy and the so-called experts here in Washington. And if he had succeeded then none of this would be happening. Those troops wouldn't have been killed because none of them would have even been out there, and Iran wouldn't have the ability to attack us. That's the key. But if you're going to keep those troops there, it's just rolling the dice until more get killed, and then that's going to keep us vulnerable. Because I'm telling you, it sounds alluring to go after Iran. And I see Jack Keane saying this on Fox almost every day.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. You know what?
And they're dead wrong. I'm just telling you, they're dead wrong because what they posit is if we do that, then Iran will back down. But what if they don't back down, which they've shown no indication of doing, and they actually step it up? Now we could be in a war that we do not need and might not be able to win.
Colonel, can I hold you through the break just to ask you a few more questions when we come back?
Sure.
Okay, because I would love to explore like what a President Trump would do in this situation, what you think he would do. What about hitting another Qasem Soleimani? And I want to explore that a little bit more. And then what will happen in your guesstimation if we do know that Iran's about to have a bomb? Stand by, sir. I appreciate you very much. It's Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, of course, retired. He is at Defense Priorities, and he is obviously a fantastic asset and a wonderful service that he made to our country as well. So we'll talk to him a little bit more coming up next on the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.
Well, we heard from President Raisi of Iran, who essentially said, the Americans used to say, and I'm paraphrasing, Americans used to say every option, every military option is on the table. He said they don't say that anymore.
Yeah, well, we are feckless, we are weak, and we are following Iran, where Joe Biden's dancing to their tune, as the Wall Street Journal columnist Dan Henninger says today, and I agree. We are joined for another few minutes here, and I'm really grateful for your time. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who is part of the Defense Priorities Group. We appreciate you and your expertise and everything, sir. Thanks for giving us a few more minutes, first of all.
You bet.
Well, and by the way, I did see you went to Tech, and so you said you listened to WBAP. You're from the Metroplex originally?
I am, yeah. Grew up here.
There you go. Excellent. Love to hear that. Okay, so with these attacks, what's going to happen if they do get a bomb? Well, actually, let me pause before we get to that point. As far as the way Trump did things, he thwacked Qasem Soleimani, and that was a cojones on the table move that I loved, and I think it was great. Maybe you didn't agree with it, I don't know, but why haven't we done that? Why didn't we do that? You said you heard Major General Jack Keane talk about, hey, we should be attacking them inside of Iran, blow up their training facilities, and you said that'll escalate. But why haven't we thwacked them super hard right after the Hamas attack on Israel that they, trained and orchestrated them and funded them for?
Well, according to the CIA, Iran did not call those shots. Those are the people that were on the ground, Hamas, who were active independent actors. And I assure you that all of these groups are not like puppets on a string for Iran to pull the strings. They're independent actors that get funding and support from Iran without question. They don't even deny it; they say it out public. But the bigger issue is what are we going to do? And let's look first about what you're talking about Trump action here, because there's a little bit of misunderstanding about what happened there. We were a hair's breadth away from going into war at that time. So Trump took him out, and we won't talk about whether that was a good idea or a bad idea. He did. But the idea that made Iran back down is badly wrong, because they blew the hell out of our base at Al-Assad and just ripped it to shreds with pinpoint strike missiles, all of which hit their targets, and 100 Americans were wounded. And according to the men on the ground, it was a miracle that none were killed. Trump deserves credit for not letting his emotions get the best of him and striking back into Iran like they hit our base there. Because if he did, we would have been at war. So I give him credit for not doing something that's going to be harmful to America. I don't know that Biden is going to be in the same position. And let's be clear, the only reason we're in this trouble now is because Biden would not get our troops out of harm's way when we had the chance. And then these groups wouldn't even have the chance to attack us. But now then they're there, they're everywhere. And it's only a miracle that more weren't killed yesterday when those 6 of our allies, the Kurdish fighters, SDF, were killed in Syria on our base. And I'm sure that they were shooting for us. They just hit the wrong building. Otherwise, we would already be in that situation.
I was talking about that last night or the night before because people didn't really make a big deal out of it because it killed six soldiers, right. Kurdish ones, not ours. But dang, it could have easily been us. They just happened to hit the quarter.
You see that our air defenses are not going to be able to stop these things, and it's a miracle that we had stopped most of them up to this time. But they're going to continue to fight. They guarantee they've already claimed that they're going to keep fighting, and they're going to. And so it's only a matter of time, I think, until we get more. And if Biden doesn't do this, then he's going to be faced with the point of either we do attack into Iran and start a war in which more Americans will get killed, or to withdraw under pressure, which, of course, will make us look horrible. So there's not a good answer right now. But the bad answer is to not start a war, get our troops out of harm's way, because it just angers me to no end to see American troops just sitting in the desert, waiting to see if they're going to get blown up.
They're sitting ducks, right?
Exactly.
They're drone catchers.
They're not protecting them.
Right.
Yeah, they're drone catchers. What's a good way to put it? So that's where I definitely do not give the Biden administration any props, because they are keeping troops in harm's way, and it's just a matter of time until another one is killed.
Okay, so what about hitting Iran hard in some way, whether it be not in their territory or what, but hitting them hard, and then because if we just get out of there, then they're going to declare victory and they're going to be more emboldened.
They can declare whatever they want to with words. What matters is the power. And by getting their troops out of these isolated troops and into areas in the Middle East where they have defensive abilities, now that they're not vulnerable. But Iran doesn't get anything besides, they can crow a little bit, and we have to eat some crow with that. But I'm telling you, there is this allure that if you go in and you hit them hard, because this is Jack Keene's deal, then they're going to back down. And I'm telling you, everything in all this experience I have in the region for decades is the opposite will happen, and we will probably get ourselves into a war, and we will not win that.
Here's my we wouldn't win in a war with Iran?
Because our power is much greater, but to defeat Iran, if they don't give up, you have to invade their country. Otherwise, they'll keep firing off missiles, and they'll close the Straits of Hormuz, and you would have to go in heavy to get it. And right now, because we've given so much of our ammunition and weaponry to Ukraine, to Israel, and to Taiwan, we don't have the capacity to get into a long war with Iran. They can sustain this for a long time, whereas I don't know that we could, just like we didn't defeat the Taliban after 20 years, even though we're extremely more powerful than they are.
What about taking out their oil refineries and stopping letting them sell their oil so that we can cut off the ability for them to fund terror?
Well, if they do what we want and just back down, then of course that's going to work. But that is an act of war. It just like as if they attacked our oil fields anywhere in Texas or in the Gulf of Mexico or whatever, it would be an act of war. So we hope that they would back down. But if they do what we would do and they strike back, now you have a war. So it wouldn't help us.
Okay, now here's my last question. The bomb. Let's say they got it, or they're about to get it, and everybody knows it on our side. Israel knows it, we know it. How do we attack? We have to. I mean, because it's a game changer, as Waleed Farah said it. And it cannot be an option, right?
Waleed was right. Yeah, Waleed was 100% right. I totally agree with him on that point there. It will be a major game changer. And just like when North Korea got the bomb, that was a major game changer there. It changed the whole dynamic. It changes it here, too. But once they have it, you can't go in there and now bomb them because, number one, they have the conventional ability
I'm just saying,
respond.
If they don't have it and we know they're about to have it, what do we do? Shouldn't we take them out? Shouldn't, Iran or Israel or us do the dirty deed?
But it's an act of war, and that will get you into a war. And if they haven't attacked you, we don't have the justification to attack somebody because they might have a capacity.
Okay, so we let them get a nuclear bomb then?
We cannot take action that violates our law, and we can deter them even if they get it, just like we deterred the Soviet Union, like we deter Iran, like Iraq, and just like we deterred China and North Korea. We can continue to do that, but we don't have the justification to go and blow somebody up because they have a capacity. That's against our Constitution.
I know. Well, I'm just saying, though, you would say that so basically your position is, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth either, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, we should then let Iran get a nuclear weapon is what I'm hearing.
There's no letting them. What you're hearing is that I want to avoid an unnecessary war at all costs.
I know, but so you're saying if they're about to get it, let them have it, because if we try to stop them from finishing and making a bomb and by hitting them, then we're in a war. So let them get a nuclear weapon then.
That implies that if you do attack them, you can stop them, and I don't think that that's a good bet. It's a roll of the dice. You may not do it anyway, but you will get yourself a war, and you'll get many Americans killed, and you could destroy the whole economy we have, because the Strait of the Hormuz, I can assure you, would get shut off at that point. And that would devastate our economy. So there's no good answer is the bottom line. That's what I'm telling you.
I do appreciate you, and for your extended time, it was just really good to really kind of get in deep with you on all this stuff. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, we appreciate you. Daniel L. Davis, thank you for your service at Defense, and thanks for joining us tonight from Defense Priorities on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. Thanks for your service.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, I'll kind of debrief you when we get back, or I'll debrief you now, and then we'll get into our next issue. Here's what I'm going to say. I disagree with them. Look, I'm not a military expert, but I just disagree with them. You can hear how, can you imagine President Trump? I mean, this is the kind of stuff where he has to sit in a room and listen to people, and then he has to follow his gut and be the commander-in-chief. I can't imagine it with Joe Biden, because he's like, run, I'm afraid. So I know that there's some things in there that you could tell, I'm sure you did too, disagree with, or strongly disagree with. But to me, it does show the difficulty of making these decisions. I don't think it's an option to let Iran get a bomb. And it is a game changer. They both agreed on that. Waleed and Faris and Hidu, and that's just, to me, that's not an option. And whatever we have to do to make sure that doesn't happen is what we need to do. I do truly believe that. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But we got the wrong guy in office right now. He agrees with me on that, and I agree with it. I'm sure you agree with me on that, because Joe Biden is being led by Iran. We are not leading them. And that is a bad way to do business in the Middle East. Okay, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, this is it. They're trying to make J6 all over again. They're trying to milk a cow that is not there. They're trying to get milk out of a cow by doing a second J6 by saying, look at these Trump supporters and Governor Abbott. Look at him. He's saying it's an invasion. That's causing people, Trump white supremacist Trumpers, you know how they get all like, Trump white supremacists, J6ers, to go to the border and commit violence against the illegals. And the FBI was looking for some, and they got some, and now they're trying to blow it up in the Dallas Morning News and say this is all because of Abbott and because of us folks that believe this is an invasion and want to demand to stop this invasion against these illegals. So there's a story that came out today trying to do that. I'm going to tell you about that, and I think the FBI is trying to do that. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. So this is the headline from the Dallas Morning News today. FBI arrests Tennessee man saying he threatened to shoot illegal migrants at U.S.-Mexico border. I put the illegal part in because that's what they are. The illegals. And they really take pains in here to have this article written around Governor Abbott and saying that by Governor Abbott saying this is an invasion, this is his fault. He's promoting violence. And how in his interview, remember that radio interview where he said the only thing the state isn't doing is shooting the illegals because the Biden administration would charge us with murder. And he mentioned about that, he said it was obviously illegal. He was just saying, no, I can't do that. I'm not doing that. So for even saying it like that, they're blaming him, along with using the word invasion. So basically, if you or I are against this invasion, did you know that 1 million illegals came in so far in the first 4 months of this fiscal year? I hate doing the fiscal year thing. I just say that in the year starting October 1st, so October, November, December, January. In the first 4 months of this fiscal year, 1 million illegals. Do you know what that is? That is the highest ever amount of illegals invading us in that time period. We have never gotten that many illegals. So it's right now, it's even worse. Do you understand this? Because everybody's heard about it and everybody's been coming, but more are hearing about it, more are coming. They're like, yes, free for all. Invasion. So, naturally, it is an invasion, and we should say that. And so they talk about the FBI was talking to a guy from Tennessee who they said he was one of his roles with this group. They were going to be traveling to a border, some kind of a militia type, and that he was going to be a sniper. His talent was going to be sending rounds downrange, quote unquote. They went to his house, raided his house. He didn't go to the border. They said he found homemade explosives that he planned on making and putting along the border. He had a war room, quote unquote, which you can call, any one of us, they could say we have a war room. You could call my closet a war room because I've got guns in there. You know what I mean? And ammo. So this is all BS to me as far as calling it a war room. We had a couple of ARs, a shotgun, and ammo, and a bulletproof vest. That's not a war room. Dude, I can rattle off a 5 to 10 people that I personally am close with or in my family that would have much more than that. So that's what, you know what that is? That's what liberals call a war room. That's what people who are afraid of guns and hate guns and seek to take them from us call it. It's just BS. The guy said, we are being invaded. And then the next paragraph is, Governor Abbott has declared we are under invasion. See? Governor Abbott's fault. It's Governor Abbott's fault. He did this. And they cite where Governor Abbott said that this guarantees the right of every state that's invaded or in imminent danger. We are in imminent danger, said Governor Abbott. So they're trying to pin this on him and us. And do you remember the caravan that went to, the trucker caravan that went to Eagle Pass, not Eagle Pass, but Quemado, Quemado, I guess you would say, Quemado in Espanol, which is about 30 miles north of Eagle Pass, Yuma, Arizona, and California. I forget where that was in California, but they tried to pull that crap with that one, too. You had five, I mentioned this to you on the air, you had 5 Congress people, men and women. I think Veronica Escobar, who's on the border, far leftist. What's his name? Joaquin Castro from the Brothers Castro. They're radical leftist socialists. And several other Democrats, including one of them from up north, Jamie Raskin, with the crazy wild hair. Anyway, they said that basically they were saying that rally was like, insurrectionist, white supremacist Trumpers, and we're causing violence. So here it is. This is your new thing. We're like J6ers all over again. We're insurrectionist, white supremacist Trumpers. They're dying to try to get us nailed on that, So here's some questions for you that I have. Questions, as Dwayne would say. Do you blame Governor Abbott and his Republicans for these men allegedly plotting to go to the border to, quote, shoot illegals and stop this invasion? And for saying do you blame Governor Abbott and Republicans for these men allegedly plotting to go to the border to shoot illegals and stop this invasion, and because Governor Abbott said we're under invasion at the border? Do you blame him for this, for these whack jobs? Do you blame him for this? And do you think the Democrats, the FBI, and the Biden Justice Department are doing everything they can to portray us, the people against this massive, disgusting invasion, as racist, white supremacist insurrectionists like J6? I sure do believe they are. Just like those Democrat congressmen from Texas and Massachusetts try to portray us as dangerous, racist, violent, criminal thugs, etc. I want to play some sound bites of the people that are suffering under this. And none of them, funny enough, are white. And you're going to hear what they say, and they are enraged at Joe Biden for what he's doing to their communities in Boston, African-American communities, lower income, and they are apoplectic. You're going to hear them. And the message is, you aren't important. Get out of the way from my illegals. And boy, is it rung true. Hey, by the way, those 4 illegals that they said were riding that bus to Arizona, they got in custody, that were the ones who beat up the cops in New York? That wasn't them. ICE said it was. Last night they said they got them. It wasn't them. Today they said, oops, sorry, they weren't them. Okay, coming up next, I'm going to play some of these sound bites of these folks, and they don't sound like white supremacist Trumpers to me. But do you think Governor Abbott is fomenting violence against the illegals, as the Dallas Morning News seems to allege in their article today? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. I want to hear from you.